Welcome to the Conscious Pivot Podcast with international speaker, business mentor, best-selling author of Pivot, and your host, Adam Markel. The Conscious Pivot shares the stories and wisdom of people who have successfully reinvented some area of their business and personal life. You'll gain powerful insights into how you can fully embrace new opportunities, increase your performance, and master the art and science of innovation and resilience. So please join Adam as he guides you on your conscious pivot.
Hey there, everybody. It's Adam Markel, and welcome to the Conscious Pivot Podcast on Pivot Radio. I'm so happy, jazzed up to be with you today and to share somebody really special with you. I have such a blessed life in so many ways. And you guys know my story. I won't get into the gushing about my wife and my kids and all that kind of stuff, but I am blessed because the friendships, the business collaborations that I've been able to, that the universe has sent my way have been so spectacular. It is truly divine, and God has definitely shined down with just beautiful souls, amazing, big-hearted people that are also brilliant. And so I get to share one of these big-hearted, brilliant people with you right now. And we're going to talk about pivoting, right? Go figure. Because we're all pivoting. Everybody's reinventing their lives, their businesses, on so many levels. It's just so deep and so profound. So this gorgeous, gorgeous being that I get to introduce you to, her name is Lisa Garr, and she's become quite a good friend and somebody that I'm really excited. We're collaborating on some pretty exciting things that I won't say any word about it now other than to kind of seed it and leave that little bit of just anticipation out there. But we're cooking up some really amazing things. We're going to have a Pivot Summit that's coming up and a live event that we're going to do toward the end of the year. Super, super exciting. So I want to just say some things about Lisa, and then we'll get right at it so you guys can learn from this absolutely incredible goddess. So Lisa Garr has dedicated her life to the awareness of herself and her surroundings. Based on a desire to live in a more conscious world, Lisa created The Aware Show, which many of you people, I'm sure, have been following and listening to for years and years and years. The Aware Show, a talk radio program focusing on self-development in all areas of life for healing and achievement. She is also the host of the most popular Aware teleseminars, which present thought leaders of our world. For the past 10 years, Lisa has hosted an hour of radio programming featuring best-selling authors and experts in the field of natural health and personal growth. She is considered an expert in the field of lifestyle and transformational programming. And I love what you're doing in the world, Lisa, and the people that you're sharing with the world through your Hay House radio program, through the Aware Show. I mean, would you just, if you don't mind, catch us up, because I know you've got, you're one of these amazing people that can elegantly, gracefully balance family life, being a wife, being a mother, having several businesses, being an entrepreneur. And I think you're doing something. You're sort of a walking, talking expression of this pivot, of these the ability to pivot in business, to create more value, to create transformational opportunities and transformational leadership, which of course results in having vibrant business, having money, having success, having, attracting beautiful things to yourself. So would you share a little bit about what you're up to? Catch us up on some of your doings. And if I missed any important part of your bio, please, fill that in for us as well.
It's been such an amazing journey that I'm still on. 18 years of doing conscious media, and I'm still doing it because it's a part of who I am. It has to do with a mission. It has to do with passion. It has to do with not what I want to be, but discovering who I am and bringing that out every single day. And that is something that you know very well. I started off, 18 years ago, because of a brain injury that I had. Actually, this started not because I wanted to be on radio. It started because I was suffering from a traumatic brain injury. I was a competitive mountain bike racer. I crashed at right before the finish line of a series final, a California State Championship race. I cracked my helmet and shredded my helmet 13 different places and experienced such severe brain damage that it is an absolute gift that I can actually speak and put words together most of the time today because of the damage that I incurred. And it took me such a long time to figure out that I had even damaged my brain, because you don't know that inside your head, and then your world gets very, very small. And as I was able to find experts and incredible people that were able to help me realize the damage, and then they were helping, children with seizures have no seizures, and just incredible things through neurofeedback and different types of modalities. And anyone who's ever had a brain injury or ever had a concussion knows that it's not a one-time fixes-all solution. This is a daily practice to this day for me. And that's why I do what I do. The Aware Show is my daily practice of firing and wiring my brain. Firing and wiring every single day. Today I was talking with Adam. I'm interviewing this brilliant lady. She's a rocket scientist. She's like the real Hidden Figures. I just love what I do. I absolutely love that I get to bring brilliant people in the world. So I started off by bringing on my acupuncturist, who's just genius, 5th generation healer, a Chinese healer. And then I had the guy that was working with the neurofeedback in my brain. Just started, I was working with mediumship and intuition, because I really cracked open that part of my brain as well, which was, not only did I damage the physical part of my brain, but I woke up the conscious part of my brain. I think I just got offline that critical analytical thinker, and what was left was pure consciousness. That's ultimately who we are. And I have a daily pursuit to find that pure consciousness.
No kidding, right? Isn't that the truth? I mean, I say this to people, but I don't know if they think I'm BSing them or what, but it's like a daily vigilance.
Yes.
It's no different than working out. You just I don't care what kind of great physical workout you can ever get for yourself. You're good for a little while. I mean, that buys you another day, really,
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, the moment we had before the show was me just saying, thank you, God, for knowing Adam Markel. Wow. What a great conversation we have with two like-minded, high vibrational souls that speak on a totally different level. Aren't we lucky, right?
Blessed. Yeah.
Yes. Blessed. So that's why I do what I do. I have this conversation every day where I get to spark a new awakening within somebody else listening or within the person I'm interviewing. And now I reach about 2 million people a month on the various platforms that I'm on, between Hay House Radio and Coast to Coast. And I do KPFK in LA and in New York, and I have a YouTube channel, and I've probably forgotten most of them. a lot of great stuff. So that's what we do.
So people, I'll just say this now. So to get part of the, to find those shows, I know the YouTube channel is really exciting. So where do they go to, just folks want to join the YouTube?
Go to my website right now, which is theawareshow.com. Theawareshow.com. You'll see my YouTube shows on there, and you can just click through. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can, the Aware Show YouTube channel, because your subscription is a vote for conscious media to YouTube. I'm on this campaign here, is that they have to know conscious media has numbers. It's important. So you got to vote.
We're getting to a tipping point. I think one of the things you said right before we hit the record button was that this is an important time in our world right now to have this greater level of consciousness. And
yes.
Of course, this podcast is called The Conscious Pivot, right?
Exactly.
It's all about that conscious awareness. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for so how do I say this? The catalyst that we have right now is our political situation. It's such a great catalyst. It is forcing Americans to become awake in so many areas. It's so great. We now know more about our political system than we've ever known. We're voting for things that we didn't even ever know existed. And that's why conscious media is on the rise, because it's all about listening to your own truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaos is a catalyst for transformation.
Always. Yeah. And everybody knows that, who's been through it, who's been through their own level of chaos. Yeah. And you've always come out of it with a learning.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into you sharing a little bit maybe of you said you had, I mean, obviously a traumatic brain injury and you needed to do some things, process through that. That process is what we call a pivot. So would you share a little bit about that? You know, what was that like? What did you learn from that? What was that? And obviously you've been pivoting, you know, many, many times
I
since.
don't think we stop, Adam. I think that's just what growth is. I mean, growth is going after a certain way down a road that you think is the right road, and then you keep going and you keep going, and then you crash into something because you have to you have to go in a different direction. And that's what I was doing, was working in television production and starting my own company in the entertainment industry at the same time in my 20s, in my late 20s. And I just kept going 24/7, producing during the day, starting this company at night, filling audiences for television shows as the company. And I just kept going. And then I got into mountain bike racing from some friends in TV. And so I was on a treadmill that wasn't going to stop. And you can still be on that treadmill as long as it's got purpose. I was on a treadmill with no purpose. And that's the distinction of spinning your wheels and burning the candle at both ends for no reason. That will burn you out. But if you do have, I love Dr. Bruce Lipton, the cellular biologist, and he talks about the cellular biology of positive thought. And if you are putting your body through extremes and there's a purpose attached to it, you will actually regenerate the cells faster. But the cell can never be in growth and in degeneration at the same time. It can either be in one or the other. So we're either growing or dying is basically what that says. And I love that concept. So if you're burning yourself out without a purpose, it's leading more towards the degeneration. But if you're excited and moving forward every day and having stimulating conversations, that moves you towards regeneration and keeps you alive and fun and youthful and excited.
Exactly. And a purpose, you know, people forever and ever, at least as long as this subject's been, you know, sort of out there in the mainstream, people are looking for their purpose. And that, you know, so part of what I love about, you know, the work that we both do is that we help people to uncover their purpose, but at a very root level, at a sort of a cause level even. Your purpose can be just the searching for greater awareness, greater consciousness. You might want it to be more clarified or bigger or somehow more, you know, defined than that, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, you said something to me right before we hit the record button that I want to repeat, which is that defining who we are. It's so important to define who we are versus figuring out who we want to be, you know? So
yes,
it's very basic, but defining who you are, becoming more consciously aware of yourself.
yes.
Right?
I've had these I've watched trends happen for years now in consciousness and in the audience. And I used to get a lot of phone calls from people saying, you know, who are my guides and where are my angels and those types of calls. Now, like just for example, on my Hay House show this last week, I had one lady who was she's working at Boeing, I believe. And she has a strong sense of intuition. And she takes a lot of classes on intuition and developing psychic development and so forth, but she could never share this at her job. And she's not going to quit her job. She's got a great job, a high-paying job at Boeing, and she's more in the engineering department, which involves her creativity and probably her intuition. So the conversation now isn't, should I quit my job and become an intuition coach? The conversation now is, can I start an intuition class at Boeing? Yes, that is such a great concept. Another lady called in and said, what was she? A finance person. Had a great job at a high finance firm in New York City. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, her passion is she wanted to start a tea leaf reading shop. Love this idea. She wants to read tea leaves, have a tea shop, but have like tea leaf readers at the tea shop in New York City, right?
Yep.
I love this idea. She does not have to quit her job to do this. It's a passion of hers. She wants to create and start something that she would want to go to So we worked it out on the show about how she can keep her job and then have, fund this tea shop, have somebody start the tea shop with her. She doesn't have to work there until she wants to be there. And it's just, this is
one of these areas that I'm so glad you brought this up, because it stops people dead in their tracks from having that purpose-driven life. Because this was my thing, right? I was 80 hours a week lawyering and, on the treadmill, working and all that stuff. But now I work as much as I ever did, but I love what I do. So it was the lack of a purpose-driven activity that was depleting me and stripping me of, just the resilience and the energy that comes from doing heart-based, work. So I love what you're bringing up, because one of the things that stops people from going down that road is the belief that they have to either, sort of jump ship or burn the ships even. And that's one of the 6 myths that we talk about that stop people from creating clarity in their pivot, right? My brother's a great example. He's a full-time New York City litigation attorney, but he loves art. And he doesn't love just any art. He loves street art. So he would have loved to have created a gallery, that kind of thing, but couldn't do it while still being a lawyer. He has 4 kids, responsibilities. So what did he do? He created a pop-up gallery. So for a couple of months, he had a pop-up gallery in Soho in Manhattan and featured an incredible street artist. And they all did well financially, but more than the money, he was doing something that was very purposeful. And the thing about that is that when you do purposeful work that's from the heart space, it replenishes you. So it's a part of the recipe for resilience. And in the world that we're living in, with all the stressors, whether they're money or they're, political environment or any of these things, we need to be super resilient. In relationships, got to be so resilient.
It teaches you. I mean, this whole idea of this side hustle that we've been talking a lot about. So when you take, for example, the woman who wants to start the tea business, the tea company, or even your brother, when you start to pursue that level of your passion, it's like you're signing up for a massive growth curve in your life. All your shadows come out, all your old pictures and ways of doing things surface, all that gritty crap that you really thought you needed, it surfaces and it says, hello, I'm here to show myself to you and to make you choose whether or not you want to do this. Do you want to, have a scarcity perspective here? Do you want to think that you can't have your passion or your dream? Do you want to think that you have blocks in the road that prevent you from being your full self? I mean, it will
all your old self-esteem issues, all your crap about your self-confidence or the things that you believe all shows up. Yeah. And you get to make a profound choice right there. You're right. And so for folks that maybe didn't catch that term that you dropped on them, right? Side hustle, or we've been calling it lately, we call it sidepreneuring, which is
I love it. You call it pivotpreneur.
Pivotpreneur. Sorry.
That's right. I love that term. That's an Adam term.
That's an Adam term. No, it's a Lisa and Adam term.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I want to also recommend something. I've just been taking notes as you've been speaking, and I'm reading The Presence Process. I haven't asked you this, but have you read that book at all? Oh, okay, well, cool. So everybody's listening, as well as you, my dear. The Presence Process. In fact, I'm going to just pull it up and make sure that I get the author's name correct. I read, so I have the physical book, but I've also been listening to it on Audible as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's way cool.
When you're walking your dogs.
Michael Brown. Yeah, when I walk the pups. Right, exactly. So Michael Brown, The Presence Process. It's pretty amazing. I'm already blown away by it. And
What's it about?
Well, it's about becoming present. Okay. And how it is that we're stealing so much from ourselves because we don't know how to be present. Now, people talk about it, and if you're in the personal development space, it's definitely, be here now. We all get that. We've heard it, but the ability to be present, to create presence and to be present is something of both a science and an art. I'm fascinated with that yin and yang and front and back of things. So
That is one of the things I love about my shows is they are my oasis, where I get to focus 100% on what that person is saying. And I too intuit the audience. It's all this beautiful space of focus. The rest of my day can be, multitasking and phone calls and whatever, but that is my time where I just get to focus. And if I can't imagine doing multitasking during an interview. That would be impossible, because I wouldn't be able, because so much is happening in this moment. With you and I'm seeing you in different ways. I'm thinking about this energy exchange together. Who might be hearing this? It's such a beautiful moment. There's so much happening in this moment that why would you taint it with anything else? Yeah.
All of our power and all of our opportunity lives in this moment.
Yeah.
And everything else is, I think Osho, wrote years ago, everything else is dead, right? Everything in the past is dead, and anything in the future doesn't exist anyway. So it's just a figment.
Yeah.
Yes. And, it's super powerful. And one thing that I've already gleaned from it is in regard to emotion. And he does some really great teaching on the distinction between reaction and response. But he also talks about emotional resiliency and emotional agility. And when we talk about pivoting, we talk about awareness and consciousness, these topics that we so love. Resilience is so key. Like, it's just so powerful to understand how you can cultivate your resilience, your emotional resilience and agility, because so much is going on. So much is passing before your consciousness, before your awareness. Your mind doesn't cease. It doesn't stop. It doesn't relent in going forward, in fast forwarding or in just playing the reverse tape. You just track it for a little while. It's part of this process, is tracking, that.
Yes, and being able to bounce back too. So in the example, those people that were on my callers, they were having a hard time at work because they didn't either like their coworker or their boss, or their situation was uncreative. But through finding this other passion, it allowed and enabled them to handle those situations with a lot more resilience, to find those tools of compassion or different perspectives or awareness. I mean, all of that, it nominalizes, it diminishes when you have purpose, when you have something that means something to you. It builds, I think purpose builds resilience, to be honest. It does. It strengthens resilience, because the more you have meaning in something, it enables you to be more resilient in other situations. It's a good precursor.
It is.
To resilience.
Absolutely. So last thing I want to touch on with you would be some of the rituals and practices that you've adopted to create that resilience, to be able, because that's what I look at rituals as being fundamental in being able to maintain momentum. So part of that pivot process is that we create this greater awareness, this greater clarity and vision, and then we got to do something. We want to do something, because we want our lives to be an expression of this, to me, it's an act of love, but it's an act, it's a work, it's something in motion. And to create that motion and sustain that motion, we have to have things that support us. So if you want to have a great body, ritual practice will be walking, running, lifting weights, whatever it is, and many other things. So what are some of the practices and rituals that you've used to, have multiple businesses, be an entrepreneur, be a mother, be a great wife, be a great human?
Wow.
And still have problems and challenges to overcome every day, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a huge exercise fanatic. Every single morning, that is my ritual. Beyond, I have to move my body. And I have 7 days a week. I have various things that I do between, I have an amazing trainer, but I'm a huge mountain biker. I've always loved the mountain. because there's so many analogies in the mountain for life. I think of this all the time. First of all, you get out of the city vibe and you go into nature, which automatically changes your frequency. When you start to do that, you kind of let go of the lower vibrational frequencies and you get right into those super high creative vibrational frequencies. When you're around nature, that's going to happen. And then I start looking at the ruts as being a symbol of life. When there's ruts in life, there's cliffs you can fall off of, there's uphill battles, but when you get to the top, you feel great, and then it's all downhill from there. I mean, I've done this analogy, but most of what I do when I mountain bike is I completely have a full-on conversation with God. I mean, full on. Luckily, nobody's really around me. So I'm having this great conversation. And I talk about the bigger picture things, not the minutia that I deal with during the day, but like, where are we going with this? How is this being supported? I talk a lot about the Aware Show and how the industry and how conscious media is reaching a tipping point. And what is my role really in this massive movement? And how can I make it better? And I really get the macro perspectives when I get on a mountain. And I get this gorgeous scenery out there right now. It's green. It is more green than it has ever been in California. I just keep admiring and smelling this beautiful smells of spring right now. It's gorgeous out there. And I deal with snakes and I deal with rabbits. And I deal with all sorts of nature. It's really fun. And so I had this image the last time I was out, and there were two cliffs on either side of me. And I was in this, on this fire road and between the two cliffs, and I could see them on either side of me. And I thought, this is a beautiful analogy for there's no bridge there. And how many times have you looked for the bridge and the planks have only appeared as much as you're willing to see them? They're not there if you cannot see them. They're only there when you can see them. And then when you see them, it appears just as your foot lands on them. And then just as your foot is landing on the next piece and the next piece. And that's when your steps to where you are and where you want to be appear only as you're able to see them. Am I communicating this effectively?
Is it as you're able to see them, or is it as you're proceeding in faith that they will appear?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started kind of making this analogy for life. So one of the things that I was recently going through and learning is the true value of who I am and what I've done in the world and the lives that I've changed and will change, and really truly valuing the movement that I am a part of and the creator that I am. And as I started to really recognize that, I was humbled by the value that I bring to the world. And that is such a peaceful state. And that plank appeared. And that plank appeared. And then the next piece to that was really learning how I can receive. Because I'm a giver. And many people in this world are giving and giving and giving. And I've almost been an overgiver in some ways. And receiving is the other piece of that. When you realize your value, which is my first plank, when I realized that I am actually able to receive, and when I got that, the receiving that I received was incredible. And that was the next plank that got me to the next piece, which was huge. And then when you start to really understand your value and you start to let receiving in, stillness is the next plank that appeared. And that stillness is such a big piece. You have to listen. You have to be able to listen. Listen. The guidance that comes in when you're understanding the value of yourself and being able to receive, and that stillness that follows that is the next plank. And in that state of listening, so much guidance comes in. So much guidance comes in. Your action steps come in. Your blocks and your barriers are shown to you. Everything is shown to you along the way after that. And that ultimately the last plank to the other precipice is gratitude. And this beautiful bridge that showed itself to me of value, receiving, stillness, action, and gratitude was this bridge that formed. And I just saw this beautiful image. And probably an hour and a half went by of me out in that mountain riding before I even realized I was still on my bike. It was really cool. It's like a 3-hour ride. I just had the best time.
Oh my God. I feel like I feel like I've gone along for the ride with you. I feel like I've been on that bike.
You could feel it, right? That was my ride on Saturday. It was just epic.
So beautiful. These are wonderful distinctions, and
thanks for letting me share that.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
That was fun.
In fact, I want to riff on that just a little bit
so
here.
Fun.
And I'll use this as a good way to wrap us up too. I was with Fernando Flores. I was at the ATL meeting, the Association of Transformational Leadership, and we were there. And Fernando Flores was speaking about historic offerings, about your historical offer, and the offering that is yours to give the world. Yeah. And so when you talk about value, that value is that offering that we all have. There's nobody listening, watching, that does not have their own offering to make to the world that has a real, true, tangible value. And that is, that's incredibly special to know that you have that value. So it's so beautiful that was your first plank, because there's so much self-esteem and self-confidence that sits in that, and I want to just pull something off the shelf here. It's great the way the universe just directs, right? And the directing in part comes from part of this recipe or the order of things that you said. So you talked about value, and then you talked about receiving, stillness, and then the action that you take that also then leaves you in a place of gratitude, right? Yes. And you're not alone. When you say you're more of a giver, or you've been more of a giver, I'm sure, my guess is 95% of the folks who are listening right now going, I give, man, I give. Because we're taught that giving is so super important. You should give. And what kind of clogs up the works, gums up the works, is that a lot of people are not terribly great receivers. Oddly. Right? Yeah. So we can all
open that door,
own that, admit that. Yeah.
It shows you your value. Once you open the receiving door and you allow to come in even a quarter of what you've put out in the world, it is a wonderful teacher to show you the value of what you've done.
Yeah. So I'm going to hold this up, and if you're not watching this, I'm going to say what it is, right? It's A Course in Miracles, right? This beautiful, beautiful text.
Yes.
And it is truly incredible. I want to refer everybody to, in mine, it's page 625, but it's chapter 30, The New Beginning. And just section 1 is the part I'm referencing, but it's called Rules for Decision. And there's so much in this. It's so rich. And, I've started my day for the last couple of days revisiting this text and getting myself back into that space of how I make decisions. We're making decisions continuously, consciously or unconsciously, and we're making them, in collaboration, in union, in partnership. And we're either sort of making them with fear as our partner, or with love as our partner, with God as our partner, or as whatever you consider to be the opposite of God, spirit, universe as partner. But I'm making them in union with one of those two things, those antithetical things, all the time. Yeah. So, I really want to invite folks to check out this text. But relative to what you said about receiving, I've loved this part, and I've been teaching this for years now, that it's so important that we are able to receive. In this, it says that as we receive, so shall we give. Not as we give, so shall we receive, which is more often what we've been taught and programmed to believe, right? But as we receive, so shall we give. So the love that you give yourself is the love that is your gift, your offering to the world. So when you talk about Fernando Flores and our historic offering, and so many people are clogged up in their lives and feel lack of energy and lack of, they don't have a great deal of resilience because they lack purpose. Well, the purpose is your offering. Mm-hmm. It's your offering. And so if you're not able to extend that offering, of course, everything just kind of shrivels up and closes up. And like you say, you're dying. You're not living. You're in a process of dying.
Yes.
And so in this, it says, as we receive, so shall we give. So as we receive love, so shall we give it. As we receive peace, so shall we give it. So to deprive yourself of love, or to have your love for yourself be conditional, that's the what you're offering. That's the historical offering you're giving to the world, whether you know it or not. The judgment that you mete out to yourself is a judgment that you extend in the world. That becomes your offering. Judgment or anger or resentment or confusion or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So that receiving piece that's so key, right? You want to receive inspiration, you want to receive love, you want to receive forgiveness, right?
Yes.
Because that becomes your offering to the world.
That is beautifully said. Absolutely. And most of us give without ever even knowing how much we're giving. We don't keep tabs and say, look, I've given this, I've given this. You look up one day and you realize, if I can receive in the level I've given, then it completes the circle. It's well-rounded. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Well, listen, this is a perfect place for us to wrap up.
Okay.
We've come around the maypole again. Wow, what a blessing. I love hanging out with you.
You too. I see. Now we got to be part of our fun conversation.
Yeah. Well, What's better than it just being really real?
And this is how Adam and I talk all the time.
All the time.
No kidding.
Awesome. All right. So listen, thank you everybody for joining us on the Conscious Pivot podcast and Pivot Radio. And of course, check us out. You can find our blogs at adammarkel.com. You can also go to startmypivot.com for 6 incredible questions that will kickstart your pivot wherever you are right now, whether it's in your health, relationships, your business. Maybe you want to take on that side hustle. You want to create that purposeful and purpose-driven side business while you're keeping your day job, right? You're not burning the bridges or burning the ships or what have you.
Right.
Yeah, so it's so super key. So you can go to startmypivot.com and begin that process right there. And Lisa, I love having you. Everybody check out The Aware Show, and you can go to theawareshow.com and check out the YouTube channel. You'll find recent interview with me there.
Yes,
Please subscribe so you can put your vote in for this conscious radio, which is a movement, and it's hitting the tipping point. We want to put it right over.
Yeah. Just let them know that we exist and that it's increasing in numbers and that people want to hear more conscious media. Mm-hmm.
Media. Beautiful. Okay, ciao for now, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you now have the tools and greater insights to navigate your own pivot. Help us inspire others by sharing this episode and leaving your comments over at adammarkel.com/podcasts. For more tips, strategies, and support as you consciously pivot into a new business and lifestyle you love, join our Pivot community on Facebook at pivotfb.com.